And now, time to get in the huddle with your host, Charles Ritchie, here on the Matt Steel Podcast.
Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink. I got you. Let's go.
You get where you feel like you can rush the quarterback. You understand? Yeah. Rush the quarterback. Bangs in for the touchdown, and there's the coup de grace.
Do you have room in the trophy for another one there? You got 6 of them now. You're the winningest franchise in NFL history.
We'll make room.
Two safeties in the first place. So looking at that, looking at what they did as far as cornerback in the draft, in free agency, so at least they have a lot of defensive backs. So they got bodies in the defensive backfield, re-signing Trevathan, putting Quinn there and admitting the fault in Floyd, letting Floyd go and going with a known commodity instead of trying to sit there and go with somebody who, he's
a project.
Flexible. He's flexible in the pass game, but he's not what you need off the edge. Because if you can shift the line basically all the time to Khalil Mack's side, it's not beneficial to you. You know what I'm saying? And we still don't even know how Akeem Hicks is going to come back. So I think the Bears admitted a lot of their faults and addressed it because I don't think the Steelers had as many faults. Their biggest fault was their quarterback got hurt, really. And what are they going to do? Like, the question I think with the Steelers is really, what are you going to do if Big Ben is hurt this season? Like, that's really the big question, because if he's healthy, you should at least get 10 wins, I think. You know what I'm saying? Especially now we're talking about 7 teams in each division. But that's just how I feel like as far as prognostication. But D, how do you think?
I think it comes down to 2 main factors. I think it comes down to coaching. I think it comes down to the quarterback play. I would take Mike Tomlin any day of the week over Matt Nagy.
Except Bill Belichick.
Except Bill Belichick, probably.
Right.
Exactly, right. I mean, Mike Tomlin is an absolutely outstanding coach, right? And then it comes down to the quarterback play. As Ken said, if Roethlisberger is healthy, they should be there maybe 9, 10 wins, although I really like what Baltimore's doing. Can they have a rebound? Not a rebound, but they have a back-to-back season like that. We'll have to see, right? But you know the known commodity of Roethlisberger and what he's able to give you. And both teams have those ancillary pieces around them to probably take them forward. But then it kind of comes back to the quarterback play here in Chicago, Nick Foles, versus Mitchell Trubisky. What's going to happen? I'm not a fan of either one of them. I wish they would have I was going to say I wish they would have just gone ahead and just drafted a quarterback and just kind of like, okay, we're going to start over. But obviously that cannot happen when you have a defense who's ready to prime and go and other ancillary pieces around them is ready to prime and go that can make a run at the playoffs. So I understand why you go get Nick Foles. But the only place he's ever done anything is in Philadelphia. Every other stop he's made, he sucked at, just to be brutally honest. So I think it's going to come down to those 2 factors. What is the quarterback play going to be? And how is Matt Nagy, going to elevate his game as a coach? Because I already know what I have in Mike Tomlin. I'm guessing the Bears are definitely going to be in contention to get the NFC North. But I'm not sure. Like, you have Minnesota, who's going to have a pretty good season, right? You have Green Bay is always Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is always going to come out there and do his thing, but he's able to elevate them and keep them in the stand and keeping them in the running. Are the Bears going to be that number 3 team in the division again? It wouldn't shock me if they were that. So quarterback play and coaching.
And see, that's the thing with the Bears. I will say that they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. And to answer your point, Demond, about trying to draft a quarterback, here's the only problem with that. You guys didn't have a first-round draft pick just like the Steelers this year. I mean, you pretty much had your second-round pick. You drafted Cole Kmet out of Notre Dame. And then plus you did have a compensatory pick in the 4th round. So you traded that to get Nick Foles right there. So you already kind of made your decisions right there. But I definitely do believe right here, the biggest alarming thing where I have a problem, with the Bears too, and the Steelers' offensive line has started to slip up a little bit. That's trying to open up holes for the run game. Do they protect the quarterback slightly a little bit more better? Yes, but the problem is with Bears. When I hear a lot of Bears fans always say, it's like, well, we never had a franchise quarterback. Well, you guys did have Jay Cutler. You guys did have Rex Grossman.
He's trying to find out who's killing his chickens.
Super Bowl. He also had Jim Miller, guy who barely
Triple
moved,
defense.
Eric Kramer. This is the problem that comes down with the Bears. 3 straight years in a row, including John Fox, he had up to 78 sacks. That has to stop. You have to protect your quarterback a little bit more better. And when you do have an offensive coordinator, the problem is when you do get a good quarterback, you have a problem executing the game plan, which I think where coaching comes into the factor of the Bears. And don't get me wrong, I think with the Steelers little by little, you are starting to see a little bit. Did they make a huge mistake by not signing Le'Veon Bell? Obviously, he's another example where it's like we're not going to put one superstar ahead of the franchise, but yet you're high in the upper 20s as far as rushing yards the last 3 seasons, including 1 season with Le'Veon Bell. So I think those are elements right there. I think for the Steelers last year, they made themselves like not excuses. Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger was a big dagger, but at the same time, a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, for the first time, you're not going to have a first-round draft pick since 1967. You got a guy who's a baby, like 21 going on 22 years old or 23. You got a young stallion and a safety right there. You know what? They still have Dan Rooney, who's been passed away for like 3 years. If he was around, he probably will not let that happen. Sometimes you got to change your ways for once in a while. The problem is with the Steelers, they just ran out of gas those last 3 games against the Bills, against the Jets, and the Ravens right there. They were out of gas right there. And you cannot be sly and split the carries with the running backs with James Conner and your other guys on there. I just think that needs to be a little bit more improved. I mean, to add to that point.
Before Ryan kicks off, we never had a franchise quarterback since Jim McMahon and he got hurt. Go ahead, Ryan.
The only other thing I would kind of look at between the 2 teams, just to kind of bring something else to the table, is just how the division kind of stacks up. D said, like, looking at the Bears, Minnesota, I think they're probably going to be pretty good, but they have a lot of young players because they brought in that monster draft class and let go of a lot of veterans. So they might stumble a little bit early part of the season, especially in this COVID training camp. We don't know with Detroit. We kind of just expect them to be bad, but I guess it's possible that maybe they could put something together. And Green Bay is clearly the creme de la creme, but I don't know if we all look at Green Bay as just this unstoppable force or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then you flip it over to the Steelers. I would say the Ravens are ahead of them, but, you know, Big Ben is back to his old ways of being a top 10 quarterback. I mean, with that defense, they're going to be right there with the Ravens, I'm sure, battling. And then you look at the Ohio teams, they're really the kind of the wild card because we expect Cincinnati probably to be bad. We'll see what happens with Joe Burrow. Probably not going to happen this year at least. And then Cleveland, can they put it together? They have enough talent to win that division, but I mean, we've been joking on the show about Cleveland and their joke status.
People choosing Cleveland to go to the playoffs last
Taking the Browns.
But at the same time, you know what? At the same time, I look at it with teams, just like Chicago Cubs in baseball, at some point after so many losing seasons, you got to start touring around your fortunes at some point. And I tell you what, that ass whooping that the Browns put on the Steelers on Thursday night that ended with that – I don't know, I want to think about this anymore, with Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett right there swinging at the helmet right there. Browns put a beat down on the Steelers in prime time that night right there. The only concern is you got to look at a guy with Mason Rudolph. How is he going to be mentally going from this if you have a guy like Ben Roethlisberger going down? The thing is with Ben Roethlisberger, yeah, it's good if you have a healthy Ben. He'll be in the race. My only problem is, will this be the same old cat with the same stripes where he's still throwing turnovers at crucial times in the red zone? That's how, like, the things started to fall apart with Antonio Brown. He kind of took a little bit of a swipe at Juju Smith-Schuster at the end of 2018. He went on the radio on 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh right there. My thing is, I'm glad I had Ben back, but can I trust you're going to be smarter and let the guys around you? That's the thing. You still got to be smart. I don't care if you're healthy. You cannot cost your team games right there. He's still got to prove that to me.
I'm happy you're a real fan, but not a fanatic, even though you're a fanatic, because what you said means a lot. Yes, Big Ben, and there's always been a problem with him holding on to the ball. He doesn't play sandlot like he used to as far as moving around, but still trying to make, instead of just going for 5, trying to go for the bomb or whatever. And like you said, that radio show, he doesn't win enough. Like Tom Brady can have a radio show. You know, like Tom Brady's the only quarterback that's okay to have a radio show. the rest of y'all don't, like, he's won 6 titles. Y'all don't win enough to go on the radio. And, like, how many times have you heard Tom Brady throw someone under the bus?
Right.
Where when Ben Roethlisberger, like, it doesn't help to be the leader of a team and go out and do that. And how often are you directing the arrows back at yourself? So I totally agree with you, Chuck. It's definitely on how Big Ben performs. But you know what I think? I think with the investment, and it still is going to be harder for them to do this with a quarterback of his stature. All right, he's a Hall of Famer. He's flirted with being elite, at least, to say the least. You know, he's been like the 4th guy in the big 3 a lot of years. You know what I'm saying? Like, out of him, Phillip Rivers, and Eli Manning, he's the better one, even though Phillip Rivers in some ways was slicker with what he did, but Ben having the body made it, and the toughness made him, and also the team around him, what he had to do made it. He made more out of it at times. But I agree with you. But I think they're going to use the defense a lot more this year, which I think they're going to try to get back to Steelers football to a large degree. I would love to see them use a lot more play action with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, to try to take some of that decision making out of his hand instead of just a straight drop. You know, like, I would love to see that, and to run the ball and to get the ball out of his hands. Because if you look at that division, and I think this year the Browns will be better. I didn't believe in them last year because you can't throw all of that together and say it's going to work with a coach that had no pedigree whatsoever. And I'm not dissing Freddie Kitchens, but he was a position coach, and then the next year you made him the head coach because a quarterback told you that was his preference, and common sense kind of should have told you not to go with that. He still should have been offensive coordinator perhaps, but you shouldn't have given him that much autonomy with thinking he was going to be able to handle that many personalities, and he hasn't been in that type of situation. So I thought that was a big failure. When you look at Stefanski,
kind of sounds like them this year a little bit too, though.
Well, no, but I think
they got a year up under them. They got at least a year of seasoning with it. So we'll try to see if they can at least take one.
But I'm just saying, for the coach, I don't know.
Well, I still think you have a guy that's been in a coordinator position as far as being someone that's done the job well.
It's true.
You know, like
Freddie did not.
Yes, right. He's done with more personalities. As D was kind of saying, the players kind of know, like, this is on us too. Like, I want to get this check. What are we going to do? The offense we've seen is necessarily work. That was a lot to put on. I'm not dissing Freddie Kitchens. That was just a lot to put on Freddie Kitchens. Like,
you're just not dissing him because he's Alabama.
No, I would diss him.
Well, then go ahead, brother. Diss this man.
But it's just, I think that's a rare outlier. And I'm talking about like 2 to 3% that someone can go from being a positional coach and the next year be an effective CEO of a team. That's a lot of responsibility, and you're dealing with a lot. Because even if you're not the GM, you're the de facto connection. You're dealing with a whole lot, and I think it takes some seasoning to do that. So I do think the Browns will be better, but the point that I was trying to get to with the Steelers offense was that I don't think in that division, and this is the problem, and I'm a Lamar Jackson fan. I watched that game in the playoffs against the Chargers where he had a bad first half, and then in the second half, and the game was over, but he starts to throw the ball. And I was like, this could be one of those things. This could help him next year. It did help him last season when he won the MVP. I think he's going to be the type of guy where he's going to be a mobile quarterback, and it's going to be a pro and a con. It's going to be a catch-22. He's going to get better as far as his accuracy is great, but his timing, accuracy is one thing. It's going to be his timing and getting the ball out earlier and not necessarily have to see it in. And I think he'll do that. But this is what's going to help the Steelers. There's always a chance he's going to get hurt if he's running a ball like that. Like, that's the thing that throws the AFC North off, because really it should just be Baltimore. But with a quarterback running like that, it just takes one guy nailing him to change the fortunes of every team in that division, basically.
Yeah. And to your point, King, you talking about how you want the Steelers defense to step up. That's another key point. Obviously, like the third point I will say on my list is I want to see what the Bears defense do this year. I want to see if they kind of like, step up and just kind of go and tailor to that is the run game. Are we going to actually even see a run game this year? Because that was one thing that was lacking sorely from the Chicago Bears. So, I mean, it's a lot of things, Chuck. I mean, if it comes down to it, you might see both these teams kind of like in the same position they were last year. It wouldn't shock me at all. I think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying it wouldn't shock me if they were both in the same position they were last year. It wouldn't shock me at all.
I will just say this back to the Browns' point. Here's the biggest problem. I mean, it's more than just Freddie Kitchens. It's also their ownership and their front office is a whole mess right there. There's been times we've been hearing it's like you got too many chefs and not enough Indians, like so to speak. I mean, forget the language. You got a guy like Jimmy Haslam, who's actually a Steeler fan. I think in Pittsburgh.
Not enough. Wait. Time out. Back on the play. Not right. Too many.
I just figure speech.
Oh no, but we can't. We're not like just as far as we're not okay in that.
Wait a minute. I think you get it mixed up. Did you get it mixed up? I think you mixed two up.
You mixed Chiefs, and when you
chefs.
said that, but you mixed chefs, but let's just not do any of that. All right, all right. Please continue.
Yeah, finish it out.
I will say that. And my apologies right there, but you get what I'm saying. But what I'm saying with the Browns in particular. You had a good GM and Ken Dorsey right there who's been aggressively getting talent right there. You're going to dismiss him right now and go with a new GM? It always seems to be the story of the Browns' lives. Get a new coach, get a new GM, some people in the ownership right there. You don't have enough people hands on deck, in my opinion. That translates into why the Browns have been losing since they moved back to Cleveland over the last 21 seasons. That has a lot to do with everything.
Chuck, you could put that to a ton of teams throughout any professional sports in general.
But the thing is, with the Steelers, you got to look at it this way too. With their organization and why they continue to prove to be head and shoulders above everybody else, they have a model of consistency. They have a standard of trust. They don't have to necessarily be the sexy spenders in acquisitions for free agency. They know how to build their guys up for the draft. Mm-hmm. They have a good scouting right there. You have a good trusted partnership with Dan Rooney, who actually was one of the key guys who took over that franchise, along with his dad, Art, in 1969. So ever since then, since he's gone, I think right now is going to be incumbent on the grandson of Art Rooney II right now. Can he follow in his dad's legacy, Dan Rooney, right now? Can he deliver a Super Bowl like his grandfather and his dad did? I think that's where it ends right there. But just to wrap up this conversation, fellas, I know the Hall of Fame is going to be put on hold this year. Training camps being adjusted. I know Steelers are going to be having theirs in Heinz Field, not in Latrobe and St. Vincent College. If you guys heard the Chicago Bears on right now, any tweaks with training camp going on with the Bears as far as anything?
I don't believe so. I believe it's all systems go for training camp for the time being, but it's so tentative right now. They're going to talk about safety, and I don't know if the Bears are even testing players, because if they start testing players, and that changes how the outlook looks. So I think they're pretty hush right now.
I will say, at least for our sake here in Illinois, we're in Chicago. Illinois has seen a sharp decrease, or at least a decrease in COVID-19 cases. You can't say that across the country, though. So to Ryan's point, it still might be kind of like business as usual, because they can go as business as usual.
Right.
I think they are going to test people because, listen, the players don't live in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? They don't live in Illinois. They live all across the country. It's going to be some players who are going to end up testing positive. The question is how many, and then what they do. I think. No, we haven't heard anything here in Chicago as far as with the Chicago Bears, but you got to look at the big picture of the NFL as a whole. Look out west, look down south, where multiple teams are in those areas. If the COVID cases keep going up, then, those teams will affect the Chicago Bears, which will affect the entire league. So we just got to wait and see. But as far as the Bears, just got to wait till the tests come out. Hopefully the numbers come out and we see what happens.
I do believe the biggest thing that really helped the NFL, thank God they renewed their CBA right now. Can you imagine their CBA was not renewed right there, and they're still being on hopes right now trying to renegotiate right there? I'm just curious to see how much they're going to get compensated if there's no season, or what kind of ratification or be for the salary caps, especially like a team like the Steelers, who this may be like the White Sox type of year where it's like win or die trying right now. It's pretty much all on the line right now.
Didn't the NFL I thought they agreed to the CBA.
No, they did. My point is,
I think that's the biggest benefit of the NFL, and especially the players. And unless they don't have a season, which then we've kind of found out with these kind of fait accomplis or force majeures rather, that some of these owners have in these CBA deals. The best part of the NFL is they're locked into what they thought the new television deal was going to be for the next decade.
Mm-hmm.
So they benefit from, we thought this much money was coming in. Now, of course, these are huge leagues and billion-dollar businesses. So there's languages in these contracts that probably say something about if something like this happens and the cap shrinks. But I think the biggest thing compared to the MLB is they have to negotiate with this new reality when it comes to their CBA. And even the NBA, but the NBA kind of had the parameters, but the NBA still is up for their new deal. But I think it's beneficial to the National Football League that they got their deal, especially with how much the owners have been beating them over the head at least the last deal, if not the last two deals. I think it's beneficial to them to have it done with what we thought the economy was going to be moving forward. Even though common sense dictated there was going to be a recession, it was time. But still, with what this type of recession, and we could maybe perhaps call it a depression, than what they would have had to done if they were signing this deal next year, because then they would have been bent over a barrel, to say the least. I feel like.
And now, to answer your point, Ken, I will say this too. More importantly, before they renegotiated their CBA, I remember that weekend around St. Patty's Day weekend, or going to St. Patrick's Day, the retired players too, the players who've been retired for years right there, you're messing with their benefits too. So it's everybody. It's not just the players, the owners. It's also the people who fought and blood, sweat, and tears who are in the Hall of Fame or retired right there. Make sure they're being better taken care of. Whereas people and the media. And by the way, I have to brag about this real quick, but congratulations to my guys right here.
Terrible towel.
Hey, Bill Cowher right there. Donnie Shell and Troy Polamalu, and also to the Bears too, Jimbo Covert, offensive lineman from the 85 Bears Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Taken out due to injury.
Those guys, I had to pull it out. I got my Hall of Fame shirt on right now. But I will wrap this up real quick before we go into our next topic. Bottom line, who do you expect to have a better 2020 season? This season's getting ready to presume. Are you going to still stick with the hometown Bears, or would you still go with Steelers based off coaching and their front office?
Good.
I'm probably going to go with the Steelers. Probably have a better season because I think their biggest competitor is obviously Baltimore. But as Ken said it so perfectly, if the quarterbacks get hurt, Pittsburgh is right there, right? With the Bears, there's too many factors, I think, that's in front of them. Minnesota, yes, they're young, but I think they're going to be pretty damn good. I think Green Bay is going to be Green Bay. So I think the Bears have more hurdles to jump over to have a better season. So as of right now, I'll probably say the Pittsburgh Steelers, out of the two teams, will probably have a better season.
Go ahead,
I
Ryan.
guess my pick would be the Steelers, but it's mainly just Ben Roethlisberger, because I think we've seen in the past, like Peyton Manning, even if he didn't have the arm, Tom Brady has the arm to crease, like he's still a top 10 kind of caliber quarterback mentally too. If he can make that transition where he can just play offense and be that smart quarterback, I think they do have a chance. But if, let's say, Ben isn't top 10, if he's just over the hill, I would probably pick the Bears to push, basically. I think they're about the same, like 8-8, 9-7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Oppo. And maybe it's just because everybody went Steelers. But I don't think the Bears have Baltimore in their division. And if
that's true,
Lamar Jackson is healthy,
true,
he's running away. Like Aaron Rodgers isn't Aaron Rodgers, and even though the defense played better and not the latter half of the season, we're talking about the Smith brothers when it comes to the Packers. And
Ken, really quick,
go ahead.
With that Packers team, they didn't add anything to help them.
Didn't.
So
they didn't improve at all. The Ravens improved a lot.
But remember what the Bears are. They still got those two hurdles. But go ahead, Ken.
But there's still, is what Ryan was saying, is basically Devontae Adams, let's bracket them, right?
Right.
And we'll figure out everything else later after that. The thing with the Bears is Nick Foles. Or if luck happens and Trubisky is actually good this year, but they added to their offense as far as when you look at the fact that you still have Allen Robinson, who is 2 years off of that. We look at Miller as being better You know what I'm saying? Hopefully the depth with the offensive line is
Ted
necessarily
Ginn's
improved.
probably upgrade over
Well,
Taylor Gabriel.
Health-wise, he is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
health-wise. And now when you're talking about – so I guess when I say added, I shouldn't have said that. But when you're still talking about maybe Wims taking another step, maybe
I mean, you did add Cole Kmet.
Ridley. That's what and also, and I know we're like, we poo-poo it when it talks to Jimmy Graham, but now you got, when you're talking about, you got a guy, when you're talking about Jimmy Graham, and a full tight end when you have Cole Kmet. So now there's a lot of different formations, especially when we're talking about this system from where Nagy comes from. So, and on top of that, the defense is better. Right now they're healthy.
Right.
All right. Like, for real, right now. I mean, if we're talking like you talk about the guys you lost to like upper body injuries in Hicks, Trevathan, and Pictorial.
Roquan Smith.
When Roquan Smith finally got it going, like if you like, that's the middle right there. Their middle was gone last year, right? If you're strong and now Goldman doesn't have to do what he had to do, Bilal Nichols, Harris doesn't have to do what he has to do, and now again you still have Ginn coming, and now you know that Khalil Mack is coming with something to prove, because once Khalil Mack saw the season was BS, he checked out. All right, that's it, and I have no problem with it. Don't get hurt, Khalil, for this. This isn't worth something bad happening to you.
Not last season.
With how much money is on the hook. Like, don't damage yourself in year 2, and in year 4, we like, man, we ain't waste him in year 2 when it was worthless. Like, yeah, I'm cool with you doing that. So, in all fairness, because I don't look at the NFC North having a front runner like the AFC North, I'm going to lean towards the Bears, to be honest with you. Because I think they're going to all be murkier, and I think, and it may be in the beginning of the season, it may be the whole season, it may be the end of the season. But I think at some part in the year, people are going to really be big on the Browns because they're going to be doing well. And then I think it's probably going to either fall flat at some point, and I don't know where it is. But I think the Browns are going to take good wins away from some teams, and probably Cincinnati's going to take at least 3 good wins away from the top 2 teams in that division.
I'll probably have to still go with the Steelers on the edge only because of coaching right now. If you got Tomlin at least through the 2020 season, even though he will be going to unrestricted free agency this offseason, yeah, Kevin Colbert, who's been not really willing to go long-term, like, deal with the Steelers, has been going year to year. So you got to imagine his clock is ticking right now.
You're talking about the general manager.
I just think their system, coaching, but I will not be hesitant with the Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears got a lot of stuff to prove right there. A lot of people view that Bears team as being too laxed, and I think they were too lax beginning when they lost that playoff game to the Eagles right there. They got exposed, no sacks right there. Mitch Trubisky did all right there. A lot of people want to blame it on your field goal kicker, but at the same time, I mean, I just feel like, that preseason, you did not get your guys enough reps in the offseason, in the exhibition, and it just caught up, and they just got pied in their face that year. So don't get me wrong, but I think the Bears are going to be having a lot of remotivation this year. They'll be playing with a chip on their shoulder. And you got to believe as well, too, is Kirk Cousins with the Vikings, too. Don't forget about him and right there, along with the Packers right there. So I will just say that. But real quick, before we guys move on, I forgot to plug this earlier, but would you like me to do the honors, or guys, would you like to share where can they follow you guys on social media?
Oh, yeah. You can follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at D and Davis Show. Once again, it's at D and Davis Show. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Demons1, DEMONZE1. Ken is on Twitter and Instagram at That's Davis. And Ryan Bukovetsky's Ryan's on Twitter at Ryan B. Ski, and IG is Ryan B. Ski 1.